Hey, hey, another day. Not exactly heavy metal, but welcome to the week, everybody. All right, let's say goodbye to the Ventures there from way back in the Wayback Machine. So I'm saying hello from a nice little pad in San Anselmo. Another temporary lodging for yours truly. It's all right. I'm enjoying it. Let's get right into it. These last few weeks, I really haven't been much of a presence. I don't know, I can ask you forgiveness, but that's just the way it is. Monday, so where are we? Trump is still holding out. Let me bring up the... And time is moving on, and I think it's about time for all this to settle down. But let me say that what Mitch McConnell said last week, I agree with. When Mitch McConnell said, this is last week though, 7 days ago, President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options. McConnell said on the Senate floor Monday, a week ago. Let's not have any lectures. No lectures about how the president should immediately cheerfully accept preliminary election results from the same characters who had just spent 4 years refusing to accept the validity of the last election, 2016. I find that to be a very succinct and realistic statement, and thank you for that, Mitch. Let's jump into a video I have queued up, I believe, here from CNN, and we're going to listen in as they have a little bit of President Obama's conversation, but Carl Bernstein, Sam Donaldson, that would be ABC's journalist with the frown, Sam Donaldson, and a woman analyst, Susan Roginski, who is apparently a Democratic strategist, are talking about things. Let's listen.
Let's take the fact. For 3 years, those closest to Donald Trump in the national security bureaucracy, whether it was Bolton, whether it was Kelly, whether it was Mattis, they all knew, and we knew, that they believed that the President of the United States was a danger to the national security of the United States, and they believed, Kelly, Mattis, Tillerson, and on, that he was unfit to be president. We needed to find a way to report that, get it into our websites, get it on the air much more powerfully than we were able to. And concomitantly, we have in the country this former Cold Civil War, now ignited.
All right, let's just stop back there. Stop for a second. Stop, guy. So I'm just going to say about the not fit element of President Trump. Kind of a misfit, there's no doubt about it. And to fit in the elements of the trajectory of this country over the last 40 or 50 years that has seen I'm going to think of two elements of American history here. One is the expansion of population and immigration, and two is the deep control by the security state that was transformed by Bush Jr. Into a much sleeker, tighter, potent little group, DNI, national intelligence. It all got combined into one. Trump didn't fit, and he just didn't. And I'm not going to defend all his actions or any, but the primal element of what he was saying was to not take their strict narrative of this locked-in Cold War narrative that's been going on since way after the collapse of the communist state. Now, the DNI, the CIA, all those people, they don't want to give up their role in fighting our nation's enemies, even if that means keeping enemies, as when we have these policies with NATO and how President Obama and the Ukraine, how we moved that missile system tighter on Putin's Russia. This is even after the Iran negotiation for the big treaty, right? So we had that big treaty that was supposed to, going to calm things down between the U.S. and Iran and the nuclear powers. But within months of that, we also had the plan to put a new missile system through Poland, aimed at Russia. And of course, we said at the time to Russia, oh, don't worry, we're just doing it because of threats maybe from Iran. But we had already done otherwise. So Trump comes crashing into the party like a bull in a china shop, not even wanting necessarily. I mean, basically, he scared the intelligence services from the beginning. And, oh my God, did he ever. Here, let's skip to one more thing here. Let's pick it up again. So where was I? I'm looking for this little clip getting into the background of why Trump didn't fit. Not fit for the office. 4 years. Well, we've made it through, and Trump will step down by the end of the week, I'm believing, but, not step down, but make another public statement acknowledging that this is going to happen. But anyways, let's go into Glenn Greenwald, one of the few great voices left in trying to penetrate through the thicket of disinformation that CNN would have you believe it's everybody else but them. So Greenwald writes in this piece he wrote back in May 21st of this year, as has been true since President Harry Truman's creation of the CIA after World War II. That was a huge thing there, 1947. After Harry Truman's creation of the CIA after World War II, interfering in other countries and dictating or changing their governments through campaigns of mass murder, military coup, arming guerrilla groups, the abolition of democracy, systemic disinformation, and the imposition of savage despots is regarded as a divine right inherent to American exceptionalism. Anyone who questions that, or worse, opposes it and seeks to impede it, as the CIA perceived Trump was, is of suspect loyalties at best. Now, once upon a time, anybody who called themselves a progressive was fully aware of that, and was fully aware of 2001 and the events of 9/11 and the whole seizing, really, the Republican mode of, and it wasn't Republican, it was Bush Jr., and he got all the Democrats to come on board too, people like Hillary and, the classic Democrats who will always be cowed into supporting the military. to go along with their whole show. You would think that many of these same progressives would hold out a little bit of like open-mindedness to going, that's interesting, because this guy Trump sort of set himself against these people who we always used to know were not up to a heck of a lot of good. Greenwald continues, the CIA's antipathy toward Trump continued after his election victory. The agency became the primary vector for anonymous illegal leaks designed to depict Trump as a Kremlin agent and/or blackmail victim. It worked to ensure the leak of the Steele dossier that clouded at least the first 2 years of Trump's presidency. And it drove the scam Russiagate conspiracy theories, the whole Mueller investigation that everybody waited for years that came up to be nothing. And before Trump was even inaugurated, open warfare erupted between the president-elect and the agency to the point where Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer explicitly warned Trump. Chuck Schumer. Chuck, I know you actually know. I know you know, because I know you know that you're a politician. Explicitly warned Trump on the Rachel Maddow show that he was risking full-on subversion of his presidency by the agency. And that's what the agency did over the last 4 years. Let's listen to what Senator Chuck Schumer said with Rachel Maddow on January 2017.
Latest tweet, as you were just saying, President-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News, since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed.
Is that right, Rachel? Did those intelligence sources tell you that? Okay. Interesting, though. You would think that that was the kind of, that quote by Trump, his little tweet there.
But he's taking these... It hasn't been delayed.
Let's get that back to...
Just tell NBC News. Just tell NBC...
The intelligence
sources... Intelligence sources...
There, let's look at that for a second. Here we are. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. I mean, Trump sounds like what would be anybody who was a progressive around the year 2002 or maybe even the mid-1980s or maybe any time in the last 50 years. Anybody with a little bit of clarity or digging into stuff would know that this has been the game of the intelligence agencies. So, all right, Rachel says that...
NBC News, since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed.
Yeah.
But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
6 ways from Sunday.
Even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I'm told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked.
There it is. It's just like Chuck's laying it out. And that was 4 years of intelligence agency doing their thing, and I think they are celebrating. Clapper and Brennan going to get Joe Biden back in there, and they'll have a president who fits, president who's fit for the job. Now, I want to say that I agree with almost anybody who voted against President Trump based on what you were exposed to, the deep offensiveness of almost any and everything that he was able to do. Very offensive personality. How can you do all the tweets? But, you know, like a barking dog, barks were a little bit, that seems to me a little bit worse than his bite. But anyway, that goes back. I just love that. Chuck Schumer kind of like just going, yep. And that was just before Trump was even inaugurated. Yes, they're very angry, Chuck. What would they do? All right, let's go back to that other, our other